All right, let's get into the Frank Tufano shit. So as far as I'm aware, Frank lost this lawsuit. Now they're just in a stage of determining damages. So he has been found guilty by the court, and this is just some paperwork on damages. So the plaintiff is Paul Saladino, MD, the carnivore MD retard, we all know him. He sued Frank Tufano. Some of that has to do with defamation. Frank was claiming Paul Saladino is a child rapist. And there was some other stupid dumb shit that Frank Tufano did. And Frank Tufano and Frankie's Free Range Meat LLC is the defendant. So updated statement of damages. False representation, $1 million. Anti-Cyberbullying Consumer Protection Act, $100,000. These two things have to do with basically like defamation of a business, 1.5 million, and an additional 1,000. And then defamation per se damages, nominal and punitive, 52,000. And then cost and reimbursement, attorney's fees and shit, 81,000. And it totals to 2.8 million. So Frank is potentially on the hook for $2.8 million. That could change. It could be lower. But yeah, he's on the hook for $2.8 million as of right now. And considering Frank Tufano's history with losing every single court battle he's ever had in spectacular fashion, he's probably going to have to pay $2.8 million. So all of these videos that Frank has made lately, where he's whining and crying and bitching and moaning about fucking everything, that is likely due to him venting about, this whole lawsuit. Oh, he's got two new shorts. $4,000 electric bill, $15,000 scam update. Notice how these are about money, so he's probably thinking about money a lot right now.
You guys know him?
I don't know if Frank can even claim bankruptcy. It may not be possible in his state. I know some states, if you this happened to Amber Heard, if you owe money due to like some sort of defamation trial, you can't claim bankruptcy to get out of it.
Dealing with a lot of negative things, from the gang stalking to the botched eye surgery, and it seems to be something new every month. This is my electric bill for my house for this year, January through March. The electric company has charged me $4,100, which is completely insane.
So there's no possible way he could have a $4,000 electric bill for his house. I think he lives in like a mobile home, because he's done vlogs where he showed his property and it looks like he's living out of a fucking mobile home. Let me see if I can find anything. Yeah, so this is his house. I put house in quotations. Let me see. Here we go. I think he shows the outside of his house here. Okay, maybe it's not a mobile home, but it's some piece of shit. Like, yeah, okay, so it's not a mobile home. But yeah, it's just some little piece of shit. He's lying. There's no way they're charging him $4,000 for his electric bill. This is probably his electric bill for his warehouse. And if they are charging this for his house, that's clearly an error. So why the fuck is he complaining about it? Like, again, there's a meter outside. You can just show the meter and then send the image to the company and say, you misbilled me. The meter says this.
And I have a small house. I mean, I have electric heat, but they like doubled my rate without a contract or without my permission. And then they misread the meter.
Oh, you know what this is? This is the tariffs from Canada. He may actually be getting electricity from Canada. So that's why they increased his rates. So it's the Canadian tariffs. That's why his rates increased. Because he lives in Pennsylvania, which is probably getting electricity from Canada. But even if they were to double his rates, it'd go from maybe $150, $200 to like $300, $400. So yeah, he's either lying. This is for his warehouse, and he's just lying about it, or it's again just wrong, like they misbilled him.
When I tried to call Frontier, they said to call PPL. When I called PPL, they said to call Frontier. So instead, I filed a lawsuit with a restraining order so they don't turn off my power. So I have a hearing in the Lackawanna County Court of Common Pleas on April 2nd.
I can't see. Yeah, he might be lying about this, and this, like, again, this is his utility bill for the warehouse.
For my restraining order to prevent them from turning the power off until this is resolved, but it's completely crazy. Frontier actually offered me like $3,000 to settle the case, but that doesn't even cover the electric bill. And on top of this, my underground power line failed. So that was another thing I had to add to the lawsuit, like a few $1,000s to reimburse me. And I'm also probably going to add health damages from the smart meter, because in New York, you're allowed to opt out of a smart meter installed on your home and pay like extra per month for a digital meter reading. But in Pennsylvania, you can't do that. They just put smart meters on every house.
If you had a smart meter, you could literally look at the meter, show how much electricity you consumed, and then send it to the company and say, look, you misbilled me. It's like certain amount of dollar amount per watt hour or something, and you misbilled me.
So I'm going to add compensatory damages for health issues, as well as costs to radiation proof the house from the smart meter. So it's really disgusting, really despicable. I mean, to me, that's just insane. I actually thought the bill was for my warehouse.
This guy is like genuinely fucking retarded.
Because I have a business, but the electric bill for my 20,000 square foot warehouse was less in January than what they billed me for my small house that I live by myself in. It's completely crazy what these electric companies are getting away with. It's actually criminal. So this has been sitting in. Electric companies have no problem writing some law firm a huge retainer instead of actually compensating the individual. I would imagine this lawyer would have had to ask for at least $10,000 or $15,000, which is a lot more than what they would have to do to make things right. So we still haven't had the first hearing yet for the restraining order against the electric company, and then I would imagine there's going to be another hearing.
Look at his. Does he have cataracts or like developing cataracts? His eyes look foggy. It looks like he might actually be developing cataracts or something. And that would explain the blurry vision, because he said not only is he like cross-eyed, but he actually sees blurry. Like even if he closes one eye and focuses, things look blurry, it looks like he might be developing cataracts because his eyes actually look blurry.
A few weeks after that, for
like it could just be a reflection.
This oral argument that their lawyer is requesting. I believe this guy is representing both PPL and Frontier, so it is a little bit.
Yeah.
So this guy scammed me for about.
I don't know. His eyes do look sort of blurry.
Would you have $15,000 worth of equipment last year? Some of you might remember in a vlog we did about 2 months ago, Fernando Poppy. And you guys calling him up, trying to get my money back did not help at all. So we had to file a case in the Bronx County Supreme Court. But the reason I'm posting...
The fuck is going on with his hair? Yeah, that looks really weird.
Today is because I might have to go to the police station. Because after Fernando Poppy received this lawsuit in the mail, he threatened me via text message. So I guess not the brightest thing on his part. I don't know if it's going to be criminal charges now or if I'm going to have to get a restraining order in the civil court, but that's like the last thing you would want to do if someone sues you in civil court is physically threaten them via text message, which he was ignoring my texts of me trying to get my money back reasonably and amicably for, I don't know, the better part of a year. He was too busy smoking dope and partying in the Dominican Republic just to give specific excuses as to why he was so busy, as opposed to
Switzerland has a rich tradition in
doing business as normal. So I don't know. It's always something, guys. It's always something.
All right, so back to this. Exhibit A. So Exhibit A. Paul Saladino, MD versus Frank Tufano, Frankie's Free Range Meat, LAC. Court mandated removal of YouTube videos. Dear legal support, my firm represents plaintiff Paul Saladino, MD. The above caption letter, Paul Saladino, MD versus Frank Tufano, Frankie's Free Range, LLC. Please take note that on January 30th, 2025, the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York entered an order of default enclosed here mandating the removal of several YouTube videos listed below. Accordingly, we are requesting the removal of all of the above linked videos in accordance with court order. Please confirm receipt of this correspondence. Order of default. Whereas this action was commenced on November 7th, 2020 by the filing of the summons and complaint, and a copy of the summons and complaint was personally served on the defendant, Frank Tufano, November 20th, 2020 by personal service, and a proof of service was filed on November 25th, 2020. Whereas on March 9th, 2021, plaintiff served the co-defendant, Frankie's Free Range Meat, LLC, with a summons and First Amendment complaint by effectuating service upon the New York Secretary of State, and proof of service was filed on March 16, 2021. Whereas despite having received service of process, the defendant, Frank Tufano and Frankie's Free Range Meat, LLC, have not answered the first amended complaint, and the time for the defendant to answer the first amended complaint has lapsed. Whereas in the amended complaint, plaintiff has asserted 5 separate causes of action sounding in violation of the Lenham Act pursuant to 15 U.S.C. blah, blah, blah. New York State Gen Bus Law 148, Bus Law 349, and Common Law defamation, whereas it is an ancient common law axiom that a defendant who defaults thereby admits all well-pleaded factual allegations contained in the complaint. So Frank didn't even bother defending himself? I'm assuming he couldn't afford, like, attorney's fees or something. He literally didn't get a lawyer, or even defend himself. Whereas defendant Frank Tufano and Frankie's Free Range Meat LLC have defaulted in this action. Whereas plaintiff seeks to recover damages on all of his claims, including under the Lanham Act, consisting of compensatory, punitive, and statutory damages in the amount of $100,000 pre-judgment and post-judgment interest, reasonable attorney's fees and costs. Whereas plaintiff seeks a court order enjoining defendants Frank Tufano, Frankie's Free Range Meat, and those acting in concert from publishing any further defamatory statements concerning plaintiff, whereas plaintiff seeks court order directing the defendant Frank Tufano and Frankie's Free Range Meat to forthwith delete and remove any and all defamatory videos from his YouTube channel. Seeks court order directing the defendants Frank Tufano and Frankie's Free Range Meat to immediately take down, remove, delete defamatory website. So Frank Tufano literally bought the domain name paulsaladino.com to lie about him, and I think he was posting shit on this website saying Paul Saladino is a child rapist. What an idiot. Whereas plaintiff seeks a court order directing the defendant Frank Tufano and Frankie's Free Range Meat to immediately transfer ownership of the domain name to plaintiff Paul Saladino. It's hereby ordered, judged, and decreed that plaintiff is hereby entitled to and is granted a judgment of default as to each and every claim as against each named defendant Frank Tufano and Frankie's Free Range Meat LLC on the issue of liability. Defendant shall forthwith or within a reasonable time permanently transfer the domain name Paul Saladino. Defendants are adjoined from making public statements referencing the plaintiff copied, plagiarized, stole, or otherwise improperly used defendants or any other third party's work, engages in dishonest practices in connection with his business, trade, or profession, abuses prescription or illegal drugs, improperly or illegally manipulates social media posts, or engages in any inappropriate sexual activity. So Frank was using this fucking website using Paul Saladino's name to claim he was a plagiarist. He was making dishonest claims about his business and profession, claiming he was using illegal drugs, and again, having sex with children. And he did nothing to defend himself in court. He just said, fuck it. What an idiot. All the while, defendants are directed to forthwith remove and delete all of the defamatory videos on defendant's YouTube channel related to plaintiff. Parties are directed to contact the chambers of the Honorable Judge Judith McCarthy for the purpose of scheduling a hearing and issuing a report and recommendation on an assessment of damages, including compensatory.
LMFAO.
Parties are directed to contact the blah, blah, blah. So they're so they're gonna debate what the compensatory damages are. Exhibit B. So come to our attention, the following videos about Dr. Saladino are still available online. So Frank was ordered to take down the defamatory videos, and he still hasn't done it. I don't know if this guy is even listening to any of these court orders, and he's just throwing the shit out in the trash. Does he even know that he's on the hook for like $3 million? Oh, well. As you know, under the court, under Mr. Tufano, is direct to forthwith remove and delete all of the defamatory videos on the defendant's YouTube channel. This is not limited to those videos referenced in the complaint, but includes all videos such as ones he posted about Dr. Saladino after the complaint was filed, In addition, Mr. Tufano is prohibited from making public statements referring that plaintiff copied, plagiarized, stole, or otherwise improperly used defendants or any other third party's work, engages in, and then sexually raped kids. Please direct your client to delete the referenced videos along with any other videos that reference Dr. Saladino within 24 hours. Oh, so Frank did end up getting legal representation? Yeah, director-client. So he literally didn't bother defending himself, allowed the court to just make a default judgment because he didn't defend himself, then he got a lawyer? Why in the fuck? And then here's another back and forth with Tufano's lawyer. My client is willing to comply with the order. What exactly do you want from him? He does not have any money. He has become destitute. What the fuck? Oh. They literally, how is this happening? They literally told him what specific videos to take down. And then Frank's lawyer, supposedly? What do you want from us? He's broke, he has no money. Like, what kind of response is that? Alawali. Alawali. So this has to be Frank Tufano's lawyer because they're referring to Frank as my client. He does not have any money. He has become destitute. Please advise when your client intends to comply with the court order. As of today, the referenced YouTube videos are still up. Please also contact the domain name registrar to effect an immediate transfer of the domain name. And then there's more back and forth with Paul and Frank's lawyer. So subject, activity in case, default judgment. So, order of default ordered, adjudged, and decreed that plaintiff is hereby entitled to and is granted a judgment of default as to each and every claim as against each named defendant, Frank Tufano, Frankie's free-range mate. Like, by the way, so, like, this is so insane, too. Frank probably could have gotten away with some of these things if he defended himself, like accusing Paul of plagiarism. Like, I don't know if it would have really mattered, but, I mean, he probably could have defended against some of this. So this is just going over the default judgment. Exhibit D. This is insane. His lawyer's claiming he's broke. Proof of service. I served the subpoena by delivering a copy to the named person as follows: Robin Hux Banks, who is designated by law to accept service of process on behalf of Frankie's free-range mate. I delivered the document subpoena to produce documents, information, or objects, or to permit inspection of the premises in a civil action. To Robin Hood Banks, who identified themselves as the persons authorized to accept with identity confirmed by subject stating their name, individual accepted service. Don't seem to...
Frank Tufano could have wrecked Saladino if he got a good Jewish lawyer. Instead he got a Comic Sans lawyer off Fiverr. Another L for anti-Semites.
Yeah, apparently. Frank was saying the most insane, unhinged shit. Like, I followed Frank pretty closely for the longest time. He was literally accusing Paul of being a child rapist, so there was no way he was gonna just get off. I mean, he didn't even bother defending himself. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. Like, if Frank had gotten a lawyer, he could have at least argued that, like, Frank is a retard and nobody takes him seriously and he has a meager YouTube following, so who cares? That could have at least saved him money when it came to damages. Because, like, shit, dude, he's on the hook for $2.8 million. Like, that's crazy. Thanks for the...
Teacher.
I think Frank can't claim plagiarism against Saladino because isn't a specific diet like carnivore just an idea like a recipe for a cake, for example? You can patent the ingredients you could patent, I think, but that doesn't work with meat. Rip Frank.
The plagiarism claim is more of like a personal opinion sort of thing. So, like, if you were to argue that in court, I don't think it would really mean much, but I mean, the best legal defense Tufano could have had would be, he's a retard, nobody takes him seriously. Like, one aspect of criminal libel is, or civil libel, is that the person making the claim has to be taken seriously. Because, like, if you just run into some schizophrenic crack addict that everyone knows is a crazy liar, you can't really claim damages because they're not a person that's able to harm your reputation. But it just sounds like Frank didn't even bother making any kind of defense. It's really weird. Trans woman. So he was subpoenaed. Exhibit E. You have received this form because you have either A, accepted payment cards for payments, or B, received payments through a third-party network that exceeded 20,000 gross total reportable transactions, and the aggregate number of those transactions exceeded 200 for the calendar year. Merchant acquires and third-party settlement organizations as payment settlement entities. Is this like an IRS tax document? Merchant acquires third-party, must report the proceeds of payments, card and third-party network transactions made to you on form, 1099K under the Internal Revenue Code. The PSE may have contracted with an electromagnetic payment facilitator. Box 1A shows the aggregate gross amount of payment card/third-party network transactions made to you through the PSE during the calendar year. Box 1B shows the aggregate gross amount of all reportable payment transactions made to you through PSE during the calendar year. Merchant category code. So these are gross payments that he was receiving from Shopify. So so this is for the calendar year 2019. He made $500,000 in gross revenue. So this isn't profit, this is just gross revenue from Shopify. And he uses Shopify as the payment processor for his sales on his website. So if you deduct, like he has employees, he also has to pay for the product from whatever supplier. So I don't know what his like actual take-home money is. But yeah, it's $500,000 in gross revenue. He made $100,000 in December. I'm assuming that's people, you know, getting shit for holidays or something. Whoa, and in 2020, 1,200,000. So yeah, it shows $0 January, February, March. So I guess the business launched in April. And then the next year, he more than doubled his gross revenue. And then 2021, he made less. That was just under 1 million in gross revenue. Yeah, he had to supply. So this has to do with like estimation of damages. So usually this sort of stuff gets subpoenaed so that they know how much money you make so that they can determine damages. 2022, he made more, 1.3 million gross revenue. I'd like to know how much he's actually taking home. 2023, for some reason, 2 million gross revenue. I'm surprised he's, like, who the fuck is ordering from his business? 2 million in gross revenue. That's fucking bizarre. 2024, 3.5 million. So this is hilarious. His fucking lawyer he does not have any money. He has become completely destitute. And then he's getting 3.5 million in gross revenue as of 2024? How the fuck did he run out of money? What is he doing? Like, either his lawyer is lying and... Oh, and this is money that he's making from PayPal.
I noticed Americans are much more unhinged. It's easier to sell shit on Shopify to Americans and they buy without questioning anything. Many online dropshippers say they tried most countries, only Americans buy shit like meat of an website like Frankie's. Haha.
I could believe it. Americans are pretty goddamn stupid. I don't know who the fuck would buy anything from Frank. Thanks for the donation though, Miles. So he made $259,000 in 2019 from PayPal alone in gross revenue. So I don't know what these PayPal. Yeah, pays name Frank. Yeah, Frank Tufano. For that's a little weird that this isn't under his LLC, it's just under his name. I guess doesn't really matter. And then payee name here is the same, Frank Tufano. I'm assuming this is from his business where people can pay through PayPal. So he's making even a bit more. So that would mean in, let's see, 2019, he made, yeah, 500,000 in sales from Shopify. Then he got another 259,000. So he made like 60,000 or something, or about 800,000 from PayPal and Shopify. I don't know how this works. So I don't know who the fuck is. This can't be from like his live streams or anything. So I'm assuming this is just PayPal buying meat, and it bypasses Shopify or something. For some reason they don't have 2020, they only have 2021. And again, 346,000 from PayPal alone. 2022, 500,000 from PayPal alone. And then 2023, 591,000. 2024, 525,000. Yeah, I don't, unless he has like I guess he is in debt and everything, and he has like a lot of overhead costs. How in the fuck could he have been financially destitute? Exhibit G. So this is Frank Tufano purchasing the paulsaladino.com domain. And he purchased this under his Frankie's Free Range Meat LLC. So this is the website he was using to defame Paul Saladino and posing as Paul. Exhibit H. I think these are Paul Saladino's legal expenses.
People in chat pointed out he probably gets that huge amount of money from escorting his ass out or webcam sites. No way in any reality he gets that much revenue from his meat business. He gets chargebacks all the time. The money listed is 100% from escort.
There's no way Frank is making that kind of money from an escort business. And there's also no way that could come from Shopify if it was an escort business. He wouldn't bother doing any of this if he could make that much money escorting. Thanks for the donation though, Miles. Yeah, so these are Paul Saladino's legal fees, totaling to $76,514. And Exhibit I. This is an action for money damages and corrective and injunctive relief due to defendant's wrongful and malicious campaign over the last year to attack Dr. Saladino and Dr. Saladino's business and services as a licensed physician and certified functional medicine practitioner in order to promote their own competing health consultancy business. Defendants have created and published over half a dozen defamatory videos and contain numerous false statements of fact as well as misrepresentations about Dr. Saladino and his services. Furthermore, upon information and belief, defendants created and registered the domain name Paul Saladino on October 23rd, 2020, and immediately began pointing it to a defamatory website containing inter alia sexually graphic and homophobic images of Dr. Saladino, as well as links to the defamatory videos created and published by defendants on Defendant Tufano's publicly available YouTube channel account, Frank Tufano, defendant's YouTube channel. What a fucking idiot. Yeah, so he was literally making images showing Paul Saladino conducting gay pedophilic sex acts and then linked to his YouTube channel. Dr. Saladino is thus forced to bring this action to recover damages and for injunctive relief to seek redress for and stop the blatant harassment, defamation, and other wrongdoing as described herein by defendants, and to order the removal and destruction of the defamatory videos, website, and domain name that encompasses Dr. Saladino's distinctive Paul Saladino mark in its entirety. Facts relevant to all claims. Dr. Saladino is a licensed physician, passionate about understanding corrective roots of chronic disease, offers fee-based private consulting, best-selling author of The Carnivore Code, maintains a social media presence, owner of all common law rights to Paul Saladino trademark, created and registered paulsaladinomd.com, and shortly thereafter appointed the domain to a website that promotes his business and services. Dr. Saladino operates San Diego-based business, blah, blah, blah. Defendant Tufano also maintains presence on social media. Upon information and belief, Defendant Tufano is the founder and owner of Defendant Frankie's Free Range Meat LLC, a food delivery business. Defendant Tufano promotes Defendant Frankie's Free Range Meat LLC. Upon information and belief, Defendant Tufano is not licensed or qualified to provide medical nutritional therapy. Dr. Saladino and defendants are competitors. They compete for consumers and viewers in the same industry. Upon information and belief, defendants saw the growth of Dr. Saladino's presence on social media and the spread of Dr. Saladino's good reputation as a threat to his own enterprise, which is similar in vision to that of Dr. Saladino's. Defendant undertook a malicious campaign to spread false information and attack Dr. Saladino's good character and reputation. The coordinated and persistent advertising campaign included a half-dozen videos directly attacking Dr. Saladino, making numerous false representations of fact. More recently, on October 23rd, 2020, defendant, upon information and belief, created and registered the domain paulsaladino.com, immediately began pointing it to a defamatory website containing inter alia sexually graphic homophobic images, false misleading statements about Dr. Saladino. Defendants used their social media to attack. Published a 15-minute video on Defendant Tufano's YouTube channel entitled Copy Pasta Salad, which featured Defendant Tufano speaking directly to the camera and talking almost exclusively about Dr. Saladino. Video includes a pinned top message which states franktufano@gmail.com for fitness diet consulting. describes himself as the source of all of Dr. Saladino's carnivore diet information, and describes Dr. Saladino as a dishonest and uncaring thief and drug user who is unqualified to provide dietary advice. Specifically, Defendant Tufano made the following statements. Dr. Saladino has to copy me word for word. Dr. Saladino is willing to blatantly lie. Well, that's true. Every single thing mentioned on Dr. Saladino's podcast was ripped directly from Defendant Tufano's video. All Saladino cares about is making money and promoting himself. Say that's true. Sole purpose is to steal other people's information. Not one word comes from that comes out of Dr. Saladino's mouth as an original thought. Plagiarized. You can pay this clown doctor $1,000 for a half-assed explanation of Tufano's videos. Someone has to pay for Dr. Saladino's Adderall prescription. Defendant also published a video on Defendant Tufano's YouTube channel titled Carnivores Don't Cover Their Tracks, which features Defendant Tufano speaking directly to the camera. Saladino pays people to downvote Defendant Tufano's videos on social media. Failed to build a supportive audience to such an extent that he still needs to pay people to dislike my videos. Think Dr. Saladino's brain is literally destroyed from all the amphetamines he's been using for the past 20 years. Why would he say that? Admits that he has been banned from all the carnivore communities on Facebook and Reddit, but then further admits to creating a new account on Reddit and posting messages regarding Dr. Saladino on the two most popular carnivore forums on that social media site. The Reddit messages were titled Popular Carnivore Questions Answered by Paul Saladino, MD, and Great Q&A with Paul Saladino, and included timestamps of content from actual Dr. Saladino videos, such that the included hyperlinks appear to link to Dr. Saladino's videos, but the disguised hyperlinks actually link to Defendant Tufano's first November 7th, 2019 video on his YouTube channel. The messages have since been removed by Reddit. More videos on the plagiarism thing. Saladino copied his way into Joe Rogan. More stuff about plagiarism. Plagiarism. Paul Saladino sued me and lost, still out 13,000, which has over 13,000 views. What a retard. Defendants wrongfully registered paulsaladino.com. Defendants created or registered the domain name, taking their malicious campaign against Dr. Saladino to a whole new level. Within days of being registered, the domain name began directing to a defamatory website. First claim for relief. Defamatory videos, domain name, defamatory website. So basically he just wants him to take all the videos down. Second claim for relief, violation of 15 USC cyber piracy. So he's claiming that he should be the owner of the Paul Saladino domain. Third claim for relief, violation of New York Genbus L148, unlawful registration of domain name. So apparently he unlawfully registered the domain, and he wants him to be slapped with some sort of damage for that. And that's basically the same thing. defamation per se. Saladino repeats, alleges a defendant intentionally made false statements. Yeah. Prayer for relief. Wherefore, by reason of the acts and circumstances alleged herein, an award of compensatory damages according to proof at trial, but in an amount no less than $500,000, as well as punitive and exemplary damages where authorized, including from the Layman Act and common law, due to defendants' willful and wanton behavior. An award of statutory damages, $100,000. An order adjoining defendants and those in active concert with defendants from publishing any further defamatory statements. Order directing defendants to delete, remove videos, take down the website. Remedial effort as the court deems necessary. So he might want Frank to just apologize. Order directing defendants to transfer ownership of the domain. Pre-judgment and post-judgment interest at the applicable rate. Award for reasonable attorney's fees. Demand for trial by jury. So they're going to have a jury trial to determine damages. Assuming the judge accepts the request. Holy fuck, dude. What a fucking dumbass. So Paul himself wants seems like around $600,000-$700,000 from Frank, but again, it looks like he's gonna be on the hook for $2.8 million. Since they have his tax forms, yeah, dude, especially for 2024, like this guy raked in $3.5 million in gross revenue. If a jury sees his tax forms and they see him making like 3.5, well, it's actually more if you include PayPal, like $4 million in 1 year in gross revenue, they're likely going to like make him pay this. If he's able to make that in gross revenue in one single year. Dude, he's fucked.